Boy, that sounds a lot different from what we're seeing on the other side. Your reaction?
Yeah, and I think this is what Americans elected President Biden to do, is to be the adult in the room who's going to make government work. Look, he talked about, had the nation defaulted on our debts, it would have been catastrophic. I mean, we've never done that. We have the strongest economy in the world. And while we may have a significant amount of debt, we actually don't have the same, ratio that China or Japan does. China and Japan actually have a much higher debt ratio than we do. So, we have to remind people that we are strong. And I think that President Biden very effectively did that. Sometimes I watch him and I think, he's kind of like one of those, old ladies in church who's kind of like just wants to say what's on his mind or what's on her mind now. He just gave it to us. And for Friday night, I think he did pretty well.
Well, you actually just teed me up for my next question for May, because we haven't seen him in the Oval Office in 2.5 years. It is a Friday night in summer, and I do understand the timing. But if you're going to make a big address to really the globe, you're going to do it on a Friday night. May, I don't know, the timing is suspicious to me.
Yeah, it is. If I'm a Democrat, I'm saying it's unfortunate, because you do want something that he's trying to portray as a win to be a little bit more prime time. So this is going to get lost. And I think that they were also trying to put in what they consider to be good jobs numbers and kind of wrap this major thing up as a win for the left. And you can hear him start to talk about bipartisanship, which I think is interesting. It's definitely a shift toward, as you said, the 2024 election. And, Republicans are definitely wary about this, because it's a president that I think a lot of Republicans went and actually did vote for Biden in hope that there would be bipartisanship and hope that there would be unity, which he definitely talked about in his inaugural speech. And Republicans just haven't felt that. And so that's why you see a very different message going on the Republican side, because it doesn't feel like bipartisanship. It doesn't feel like unity.
Yeah, well, you could, as I mentioned, I think he was really weaving in as many, campaign themes as he could. But Johanna, when we look at some of his approval ratings, I mean, most recently he has a 40% approval rating. His vice president, 37.8. If you're going to come out with a primetime speech, you really got to tee it up where if you have a win and you're going to claim a win, you better do it on the right night and also come out swinging. Did you think that he did?
Well, look, polls don't vote. The voters will vote in November. And I was surprised yesterday, May, because I was actually thinking the same. Are Republicans feeling like what they got, what they voted for is what they got? And I talked to a Republican who actually said to me, if we had President Trump right now, things would be much worse. And so I do think that, it really depends. Biden's reelection chances in November, next November, when it comes to the ballot, will really depend on who he's running against. I think someone like Tim Scott, who talks about bipartisanship and bridging differences, would be a much stronger contender for the Republican Party than someone like a Donald Trump, or even a DeSantis, who is choosing to talk about the things that we disagree with and picking some of the more, extreme fights. Then Americans just want our government to work. They want people out of their bedrooms. They just want to be able to live. And so it really depends on who the Republicans put up on what's going to happen in November.
Well, if we talk about who Republicans are putting up, the Democrats are, of course, putting up the current president, who started in the Senate when he was 29 years old. May, I can't help but talk about the elephant in the room. We talk a lot about his readiness, and it's no fault of his. We're not critical of him for his age. We're simply saying if you're going to be holding the most powerful seat in the world, you might want to be at the top of your game. May?
Yeah, and this, of course, reminds me of the basically tumble that Biden had in Colorado Springs talking to the Air Force, and nobody is talking about what he said to the Air Force and whether he said something stupid, said something good. I mean, you're not talking about it, because actually the question is he okay? And it's funny when someone who's well falls, you laugh at them. And even when Trump was walking slowly, it was a joke. And here it's not a joke. And I think that is scary to people. And it is different for me because I haven't been critical of Biden's age because I've thought, well, it's kind of nice for the Democrats to have somebody who you can't attack. This feels different. This feels like I don't know if you're going to have someone able to be in charge.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.